you did bring up another question we had earlier about this highly competitive environment that athletics is. Can you expand a little bit on what trying to navigate this career? And Tina, you mentioned trying to figure out where you're going to go to another school or not, and making career choices. How do you navigate the challenging parts of this athletic business, which does require you to be competitive, and they do have sort of stereotypes around hours and all these different, kind of constructs that we have to work under. What motivates you through that too? What allows you to kind of push through those challenges?
Like I said before, I am not good at playing politics. And I think that has hindered me from going from an assistant AD to eligibility specialist back into academics, not progressing as quick as I thought I should have with the body of work that I've done. It's hard to navigate that. And deciding if I want to leave, is it worth it? Like weighing the pros and benefits out, or the pros and cons, out. I know I was talking to Jackie here recently, and we were talking about my trajectory, and she just kept saying, well, Tina, you're the most senior woman, but you don't have the title. And I was like, well, I really don't need it. I'm just gonna keep doing my work. But then showing that if I decide to leave, it's hard to justify, like, why have you not been moving up as quick or as often as somebody else? But also just knowing, like Munjan was saying before, just being very secure in myself within the work that I do. And I'm one of those before that was like, my work will show my worth. And and so that, again, that has been one of my downfalls, because I haven't championed for myself as often as I should. And so I'm learning to champion for my coworkers, though. So knowing what I wish somebody would have done for me, I'm trying to be very vocal and loud for my coworkers to fight for raises and bonuses, because I understand that the pay is definitely, inflation is high. I don't know about y'all, but I went to Tropical Smoothie for a kid's meal and it was $12. And I was just like, I'm confused because our paychecks ain't going up. So knowing that I try to champion for my coworkers, like, if I can't get a title change for you, at least I can try to give you some more money. But it has been difficult.
I would say I like to compete. So I don't mind a competitive environment, because I'm working with a lot over here, and it's gonna be hard for you to beat me. That's how I feel. And that's what I'm talking about, Tina, is like, sometimes I need to be low in posture, because it'll come out at the worst times. Okay. And they'll be like, I don't know if that's God. I think that's Shanika. I don't know if that's Christ right there. But I like to compete. And so I don't mind the competitiveness of it. But I think my experience has been a lot like Tina's. I just wonder, sometimes, like, Shanika doesn't have time for that. What type of projects that are full within my capabilities that I'm getting kind of, I don't know if Passover is the word that I want to use, but are not the opportunities that are in professional opportunities that are not being extended to me because it is perceived that I don't have the time or the capacity to take it on. I do sometimes look at my career trajectory, and I've wondered why it is the moves. Other people have moved around me, and thought about, okay, why is that, right? Is it motherhood? Is it gender? Is it race? And always thinking like, hey, I'm showing up, I'm doing a great job. What are some things that people aren't seeing? What are some rooms that I need to try and get in? But I also am kind of secure in, like, hey, what's for me is for me. And trusting the timing of things. So I think the competitiveness of where we work plays a role in how we show up in our offices. There's a competitive edge in academics too. We want to beat the GPA, or we want for this, or you've got to do this so that we can help your team get this or whatever. I kind of thrive in that environment, and it's, you know, sometimes you have to play little mind games with yourself, even when you don't feel like doing it, so that you can show up in the space.
So I'm gonna ask you some rapid fire questions. We're over here like we're just ecstatic. So we're over here like, oh, what can we ask more? How can we keep them further from their work on a Good Friday? So I'm gonna ask you to come up with a sentence or phrase, really short. What is a sentence or phrase that mothers in our profession need to hear more of? And then what's one that they need to hear less of?
I feel like mothers need to hear more that you're doing a great job. Give yourself grace. And then what they need to hear less of, anything that makes them justify why they have to have their child. I don't know what kind of phrase it is, but we should not have to justify why we have to go get our child. Just a justification. Stop justifying. Just tell them it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be.
That's a hard question.
Right.
The only thing that I would say, so let me flip it and say, I think what mothers need to see more of is more mothers in the space.
Right.
We came up as the examples on the previous calls with other mothers because there aren't that many examples, right? So I think as we continue to ascend in our careers, mothers need to see more mothers at every level.
Right.
Young women come up to me all the time like, hey, and they have partners like, hey, I want to have children. How do you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. How do you do this? So I think just seeing more of people like them in the space, what we can see less of, I would just say this, I guess the notion of like, because you're a mother, or like you always have your child's always around, when are you not, when they're always here, like where are they at? You know, I think we could see less of that kind of in the space, and that may just be a feeling that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's something that I'm always thinking about, like when is an appropriate time.
Okay, and last question, super quick. What is a responsibility in your career that you carry that you would not trade?
I'm like very like kind of territorial. So I think I always say these are my kids. So that's something I wouldn't trade. Like I wouldn't, because I would go to bat for them. And they know that. Tell me the truth so that I can go and fight on your behalf and figure out a story, but don't lie to me. And so I think that's just that relationship, that connection, being able to see a student mature and matriculate while they're here under your care. I think that's so invaluable. Like I would never trade that. Even though so many people getting burned out in athletics and in academics. And I think, like you said, Munjin, to see examples, like I guess we're older now. I feel like I'm still young in the field, but now you say we're not that many, but just to see that, because people are getting burned out so quick now. And I think we do need to have examples. And like Munjin said, just because it worked 10 years ago is a different time now. So being able to be adaptable, but I wouldn't trade the work I do with the students. As much headache and frustration and just tiredness. I always tell our business office, they're in a different building because they don't think we work. Like the mental exhaustion is so much different than you paying all these bills from 8 to 5. But I wouldn't trade it. I think I love it, to be perfectly honest.
Same. The responsibility that I feel like I would not trade is my responsibility to the young people, to the men and the women that I work with every day. They are the best part of my day. There are meetings that I'm in, and I literally want to close my laptop and walk out. And then I get to my student meetings, and everything's okay. So yeah, I would say, the responsibility that I hold true and close to myself is the responsibility to help see them through not just their academic lives, but this transition that they are in as they are entering adulthood, as they are developing their frontal lobe, as they are figuring out how to navigate relationships with family and significance and their peers and their coaches. That's what keeps me here.
I love it. And if you don't get anything, I love what Christina said. I am healed and I'm healing. Take that, run with it. I know I wrote that down as soon as it came out of her mouth. I said, man, I'm still healing. And Miss Shanika talking about Black motherhood and how it intersects with stereotypes, earning power, career trajectory, but still knowing that it's a beautiful, complex experience. And I think that's beautiful for our viewers to know. We're going to leave you with the final word. The theme is about writing your own story. And so we've talked about how you have to go through stereotypes, typecasting, segregating on your different intersecting identities. And that means everybody's telling your story. How are you writing your story? And we'll end with that, Ms. Shanika.
I would just say knowing myself, doing the work to really know who I am, and being secure in that. We talked a little bit about confidence earlier, but I think knowing Shanika, and you would be, I don't think anybody would be surprised, but there are folks that we interact with who have not done the work. And the same thing, like I'm healed and I'm healing. That it's a process to get to know and unpack who you are on a day-to-day basis and know how that influences how you're seen in spaces and how you interact with other people in spaces. I think when you know yourself, you can be yourself. And you're always gonna be good in every hood when you're showing up as you.
Piggyback off that. That's why I was trying to go first all the time. London B. But I think telling our story is, like Munda said, knowing yourself. I'm getting to a place where I don't care what people think. And so that's allowing me to tell my story authentically with all the parts. And realizing that I have a 9-year-old daughter that's looking up to me. I think I can tell her all day what to do, but she sees more than what I'm telling her. So just being the best version of myself for her first, and then it allows me to come to work as my best version, to service and serve my student athletes. But getting to a place where, as long as you're secure with yourself and you know that your intentions are coming from the right place and a good place, that it really doesn't matter what people say, that not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. But if you know that you can stand firmly on what you're doing, that it's going to benefit, whether it's yourself, the coaches, the program, that's all that I'm worried about at this point. A lot of people don't like whether it's study hall or these reports or all these things that we're trying to put in place, but it's really to benefit you all. And even in the healing process that Munda was saying, it is a process, and it's not always a pretty process while you're in the process, and being okay with that you don't always have to be the strong one, that to rely on the community that you have within your space to know that, hey, today is not, I need to just decompress today and not have to always show up as the strong one or the one that can answer all the questions or the one to be the answer to everything, but just knowing that you can rely on people around you.
Excellent. I got this. So you got I'm healed and I'm healing. I got you're good in any hood if you show up as yourself. Good. This has just been our life coaching session, if nothing else.
Amen. Amen. Well, Shanika, Christina, thank you for the outstanding conversation. And to our audience members who were able to catch the listening, we will have each of the video recordings and episodes in our video library. Additionally, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the ECC subcommittees that supported our initiative, bringing in writing questions, engaging with our interviewees. Here, we want to thank you so much for your support. And until next time, take care.